My dad said I wasn't welcome and cheered for my deadbeat sister at Mother's Day. Now they're crawling back, begging, but my response will haunt them forever. The ocean roared below the cliffs of Seacrest, Oregon, its waves clawing at the jagged basalt like a beast that never sleeps. It was May 2025, and the air carried the sharp tang of salt mixed with the damp musk of pine forests hugging the coastline. I stood on the deck of my latest project, a $200,000 backyard overhaul for a tech mogul's vacation home, watching the sunset bleed crimson into the Pacific. My name's Ethan Caldwell, 34, owner of Coastal Builds. I turn dirt into dreams, infinity pools that kiss the horizon, outdoor kitchens sleek enough to make Gordon Ramsay jealous, stone fire pits that glow like they're alive. But 5 years ago, I was nobody. Just a guy with a beat-up Chevy Silverado, maxed out credit cards, and a hunger to prove myself. Tonight, though, I wasn't thinking about the grind. I was thinking about the call from my dad, Tom, a week ago. His voice, clipped and casual, still echoed. "No need to come for Mother's Day, Ethan. Focus on your little projects. Save the gas." Little projects. The words stung like salt in a cut. I'd built a company from nothing, yet my family still saw me as the kid who couldn't hack it. Seacrest isn't just a town, it's a state of mind. The kind of place where locals sip craft beer at the Rusty Anchor and tourists pay $500 a night for oceanfront Airbnbs. My office sits on a bluff overlooking the harbor, where fishing boats bob like toys in a bathtub. The town's charm is raw: craggy cliffs, driftwood-strewn beaches, and fog that rolls in like a ghost at dawn. It's where I rebuilt myself after losing everything, but it's also where my family's shadow looms large. My dad, Tom, 60, runs a chain of convenience stores, always acting like he's one step from a corner office. Mom, Linda, 57, is a grade school principal who quotes Brené Brown but never applies it. Then there's my sister, Sophie, 36, the golden child who lives in their basement, peddling marketing strategies on Instagram with 0 clients to show for it. Growing up, Sophie could crash the family car and get a pat on the head. I'd mow the lawn wrong and catch a lecture about standards. They've never seen what it took to get here. Nights sleeping in my truck, hands cracked from concrete, a back that creaks like old floorboards. To them, I'm still the screw-up who chose manual labor over their version of success. I was headed to Astoria for Mother's Day, despite Dad's call. My girlfriend, fiancée actually, Claire, had a gut feeling something was off. Claire's 31, an interior designer with a sharp mind and a sharper tongue. We met on a job, her coordinating quartz countertops for an outdoor kitchen, while I wrestled with a finicky irrigation system. She's got this vibe, part grit, part grace, raised by her grandma after her parents bailed when she was a kid. She doesn't play games, doesn't need to. When she brought coffee for my crew one morning, not just me, I knew she was different. She'd been tracking Sophie's Instagram, where my sister was hyping some big Mother's Day surprise. Claire's words at the bar last night with my buddy Ryan, a plumber who gets my world, hit hard. "Ethan, this feels like a setup. You show up, they'll make you the bad guy. You don't, they'll say you ditched." Ryan nodded, swirling his IPA. "Classic no-win situation, man. They're playing you." I decided to go anyway, not because I wanted to, but because I had a plan. Years ago, Mom mentioned Ocean Haven Retreat, a swanky spa in Yachats with yoga, massages, and oceanfront suites. "Too pricey," she'd sighed. I'd booked it for her and Dad, a $4,000 weekend paid in full, champagne included. It was my ace in the hole, a gift they couldn't dismiss. Or so I thought. Driving up Highway 101 that Sunday morning, Claire beside me in her green sundress, the envelope with the reservation sat heavy in my jacket pocket. The road hugged the coastline, cliffs dropping to churning waves, seagulls screaming overhead. My gut churned too. Family gatherings were always a minefield. Sophie's theatrics, Dad's backhanded jabs, Mom's fake smiles. But this time, I'd show them I wasn't the loser they painted me as. Astoria's a gritty little port town, all Victorian houses and weathered docks, the Columbia River glinting like steel under a cloudy sky. My parents' place is a craftsman on a quiet street, its lawn manicured to HOA perfection. But when we pulled up, cars lined both sides. My aunt's Lexus, my uncle's oversized F-250, a dozen others. This wasn't the small lunch Dad described. Claire squeezed my hand. "Here we go," she whispered. The air smelled of cedar and grilled meat as we walked to the backyard, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses spilling out. I pushed open the gate, and there it was, a full-blown party. Tables draped in white linen, a Happy Mother's Day Linda banner strung between two pines, a catering crew setting out platters of crab cakes and artisanal cheeses. At least 30 people, relatives, neighbors, Sophie's latest business partner, Lucas, in a ridiculous turtleneck despite the 70-degree heat. I froze when I heard my uncle's voice. Thought Ethan wasn't coming. Dad's reply cut deeper. "Yeah, told him to stay home. Guy's always whining about his construction gigs. Better this way." Claire's grip tightened, her eyes flashing. I stepped onto the patio, and heads turned. My cousin Nate, a firefighter with a no-BS attitude, spotted me first. "Yo, Ethan! You made it!" Dad spun, his face a mix of surprise and irritation. "Just joking, son," he said, too loud, before turning away. Whispers started, about my empty hands, my work boots, how Sophie's, Yote Wellness app, just landed a big investor. I caught my aunt muttering, "Still got dirt on his jeans." Some things never change. Funny, I'd been on a site yesterday, hauling stone because a guy called in sick. A real boss gets his hands dirty. They wouldn't get it. Sophie was holding court by a makeshift bar, her oversized sunglasses screaming influencer vibes. She smirked when she saw me, then whispered to our cousin, who giggled. Her eyes flicked to Claire and rolled. I ignored it and headed for Mom, sitting at a table piled with flowers. She frowned. "Ethan, you didn't call. And no gift? Really?" Her tone was pure disappointment, like I was 16 and forgot her birthday. Claire stepped in, calm but firm. "Actually, I'm his fiancée. Engaged last month. Guess the invite got lost." She flashed the ring, a simple band I'd bought after landing a 6-figure contract. Mom's fake smile faltered. "A family event, dear," she said to Claire, like she was an intruder. Then Lucas sauntered over, looking like he'd just stepped out of a tech startup pitch. "Ethan, still playing with dirt? Tech's where the money's at, man." I smirked. "Funny, I just finished a job for the CTO of that firm that passed on your app. Said your numbers were a fantasy." His grin vanished. Sophie's eyes narrowed. I was about to pull out the Ocean Haven envelope when Nate waved me to an empty chair. But Sophie cut in, voice dripping with venom. "That's Lucas's seat. Grab a folding chair from the garage. And, we didn't plan for extras." She glanced at Claire. Nate stood. "I'll help," he said, following me inside. In the garage, he whispered, "What the hell, man?" Dad said this was small. Then Aunt Linda called it a big surprise. Now I see why you weren't invited. We dragged 2 metal chairs back, setting them at the patio's edge. Nate sat with us, ditching his table. A small act, but it hit me hard. At noon, Dad clinked his glass. Let's celebrate our amazing Linda. Everyone cheered as the caterers unveiled the spread. Salmon, prime rib, the works. I stood to join the line when Dad's voice boomed. Ethan, we didn't count you for the food. Grab a drink or wait. The yard went dead silent. I stared at him, my pulse pounding. You serious? I said, voice low. Language, he snapped. We paid $40 a head. You weren't on the list. Mom chimed in. We told you not to come, Ethan. You can't expect us to magic up extra food. Nate spoke up. He can share my plate. Dad waved him off. He showed up uninvited. He waits. Something snapped. Not anger, but clarity. I pulled the envelope from my pocket and handed it to Nate. Read it, I said, my voice steady but sharp. He opened it, eyes widening. Ocean Haven Retreat, Yachats. 3-day premium package for 2. Spa, yoga, oceanfront suite. For Tom and Linda. Paid in full, $4,000. The crowd froze. Aunt Karen was already Googling the place, gasping at the photos. Mom's jaw dropped. Dad stammered, We were joking, son. Sit down, eat. I didn't move. That's for a couple's massage, gourmet meals, the works, everything Mom dreamed of. But you know what? I turned to Nate. It's yours now. You and Emily deserve it. Dad's face went red. You can't do that. It's my money, I said. I decide. Sophie hissed. You're making a scene. I looked at her, calm as the ocean before a storm. No, you all did. I'm just done playing your game. Claire took my hand. Let's go, babe. Nate, Ava, and Uncle Frank followed us out. As we left, the waves crashed below, a reminder that some things are bigger than family drama. At a dive bar down the road, over burgers and beers, we laughed, swapped stories, and planned a future without their baggage. But one question lingered. Would they ever see me for who I'd become? The neon sign of the Rusty Anchor flickered against the twilight, casting a warm amber glow over the weathered wooden facade of the bar. Seacrest's harbor stretched out beyond, where fishing boats rocked gently under a sky bruised purple by the setting sun. Inside, the air smelled of fried clams and spilled beer, the kind of place where locals traded stories over pints and the jukebox played Springsteen on repeat. Claire sat across from me, her green eyes catching the light as she laughed at something Nate said. My cousin Nate, all 6'2" of him, leaned back in his chair, firefighter's hands wrapped around a bottle of local IPA. Ava, my sharp-witted cousin who'd fled to Portland for a tech job, was tearing into a basket of fries, while Uncle Frank, the family's black sheep who'd built a life running crab boats in Alaska, spun a yarn about a storm that nearly sank his crew. This was my tribe now. Raw, real, no pretense. But the sting of Mother's Day still burned, like salt in an open wound. I'd walked away from my parents' house in Astoria, leaving behind a $4,000 gift and a lifetime of their dismissal. The question was, what would they do next? I took a pull from my beer, the cold bitterness grounding me. Claire reached for my hand under the table, her touch steady. You okay? She whispered, her voice low, like she was checking the pulse of my soul. I nodded, but my mind was replaying Dad's voice. We didn't count you for the food. Mom's fake frown. No gift. Really? Sophie's smirk as she claimed a chair for her turtleneck-wearing business partner, Lucas. I'd gifted the Ocean Haven retreat package to Nate and Emily, my cousin's wife, because they deserved it. Two people who hadn't taken a real vacation since their twins were born. But the act wasn't just generosity, it was defiance. A middle finger to a family that treated me like an outsider in my own story. Frank clapped my shoulder, his weathered hand heavy. "Kid, you just dropped a bomb back. There. They'll be licking their wounds for weeks." Ava grinned, raising her glass. "To Ethan, the guy who finally called their bluff." We clinked bottles, but I felt the weight of what came next. Families like mine don't just let go. They claw back. Back in Seacrest, life didn't pause for drama. Monday morning, I was up at 5 a.m., the fog thick outside my office window, the harbor invisible except for the mournful wail of a foghorn. Coastal Builds was humming. 3 crews working simultaneous jobs, a 4th prepping a new contract for a retired NBA player's cliffside estate. Diego, my right-hand man, was already in the yard, checking equipment. I'd hired him 5 years ago outside a Home Depot, a day laborer with more skill than half the contractors in Oregon. I paid for his certifications, and he repaid me with loyalty that money can't buy. "Boss," he said, tossing me a clipboard, "we're ahead on the McAllister job. You sure you're good after yesterday?" I smirked. "Better than good, man. Let's keep the trains running." But inside, I was bracing for the fallout. My phone buzzed with missed calls. 12 from Mom, 8 from Dad, 5 from Sophie. I ignored them all, but the notifications felt like pebbles in my shoe. Claire showed up at noon with sandwiches from the deli down the street, her hair pulled back, a sketch pad under her arm. She'd been working on mood boards for a client's outdoor lounge, all sleek teak and muted blues to match the ocean. "Your sister DM'd me last night," she said, tossing a pastrami on rye my way. "Wanted to know if you'd reconsidered the retreat gift. Said it was a misunderstanding." I snorted. Misunderstanding? Like accidentally telling me I can't eat at my own mom's party? Claire's lips quirked. She's desperate. Posted a story this morning about family unity, tagged your parents. 8 likes, 1 from a crypto bot. I laughed, but the knot in my chest tightened. Sophie's game was predictable. She'd play the victim, spin a narrative, and my parents would buy it. They always did. That afternoon, I called my attorney, Sarah, a no-nonsense woman who drafted my contracts since year 2. Sitting in my office, surrounded by blueprints and a wall of industry awards, I told her to update my will. "Nuclear option," I said. "No blood clause. Mom, Dad, Sophie, out. Everything goes to Diego, Nate, Ava, and Uncle Frank, plus a trade school scholarship fund." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "That's a bold move, Ethan. You sure?" I leaned back, the leather chair creaking. "They made it clear where I stand. I'm done being their punching bag." She nodded, scribbling notes. "Families are messy. I'll have it ready by tomorrow." I also called Ocean Haven and transferred the reservation to Nate and Emily. The clerk's chipper voice confirmed it. "All set for Mr. and Mrs. Harper. They're gonna love it." I hung up, feeling lighter, like I'd shed a skin I'd outgrown. But freedom comes with a shadow. By Wednesday, the whispers started. A client, a local realtor, mentioned hearing from my aunt that I'd abandoned my family on Mother's Day. "Heard you stiffed your mom on a gift," she said, half joking. I set her straight, showed her the Ocean Haven receipt on my phone. Her eyes widened. "Damn, Ethan. That's classy. Why's your sister saying you ghosted?" I shrugged, but the rumor mill was churning. Sophie was working overtime, posting cryptic Instagram stories about betrayal and toxic success. Claire, ever the strategist, screenshotted them. She's building a case, Claire warned. This isn't just drama, it's a campaign. Ryan, over beers that night, agreed. She's setting you up, man. Bet they'll come knocking soon, playing the pity card. He wasn't wrong. 4 weeks later, they showed up at my office unannounced. The Coastal Build's office is a sleek space. Glass walls, polished concrete floors, a view of the harbor where pelicans dive for fish. Laura, my receptionist, buzzed me. Ethan, your parents and sister are here. No appointment. Say it's urgent. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Send 'em in. They walked in looking like they'd been through a storm. Dad's shoulders slumped, his usual grocery store manager swagger gone. Mom's eyes were red, her cardigan wrinkled. Sophie, usually decked out in designer knockoffs, wore plain jeans and a blouse, like she was auditioning for a job. The air felt heavy, like the moment before a squall hits the coast. Dad started with small talk, eyeing the awards on my wall. Nice setup, son. Those real? I didn't bite. What do you want? Mom's voice cracked. We haven't heard from you, Ethan. We're worried. I cut to the chase. You're not here because you're worried. You need something. Spill it. Silence hung like fog. Then Dad cleared his throat. We're in a bind. Need $30,000. It's for Sophie's business. I laughed, sharp and cold. The wellness app? Let me guess. Lucas's cousin built you a logo and some business cards, and now he's ghosted with your cash? Sophie's face confirmed it. They'd sunk their savings, $35,000, into a vaporware app with no users, no prototype, just vibes. You mortgaged your retirement for her Instagram aesthetic, I said. I could have hooked you up with devs for a fifth of that, but you never asked, because I'm just the dirt guy. Mom's eyes welled up. Ethan, we're family. I shook my head. Family doesn't tell me I can't eat at their table. Family doesn't call my work a phase. Dad tried to apologize, calling Mother's Day a lapse in judgment. I wasn't having it. A lapse is forgetting my birthday. You humiliated me in front of 35 people. Sophie jumped in, voice shrill. I got a job offer in Seattle. Just need $3,000 for a deposit. I smirked. Congrats. Call a bank. She muttered, banks need income proof. So do I shot back. Mom made one last plea, her voice soft, desperate. We messed up, Ethan. Let us fix it. I offered to pay for a financial advisor's consultation, nothing more. Dad's face hardened. That's it? After all we did for you? I stood, pointing to the door. You raised me to stand on my own, mission accomplished. Now I've got a business to run. They left, and the office felt quieter, like the calm after a wave crashes. Diego poked his head in. You good, boss? I grinned. Better than ever. How's the house hunt going? He admitted the market was brutal. I offered a friends and family discount on any Reno work for a fixer-upper. His eyes lit up. You sure, man? Mixing business and friendship? I clapped his shoulder. You're not a friend, Diego. You're family. He laughed, shaking his head, and we got back to work. The next month was a blur of progress. Coastal Builds landed the NBA Players Project, a $300,000 backyard with a pool that seemed to spill into the Pacific. It was slated for a spread in Dwell magazine. I promoted Diego to operations director, gave him a 20% raise. He nearly cried, saying he never dreamed of owning part of a business when he crossed the border a decade ago. Claire and I finalized our wedding plans. A small ceremony on a seacrest cliff, waves crashing below. Just Nate, Ava, Frank, Diego, and a few others. No parents, no Sophie. Uncle Frank, ordained online, would officiate. Diego was my best man. Ava was helping Claire with the details, down to the hand-calligraphed place cards. Then the other shoe dropped. Nate called one night, his voice tight. "Your sister's at it again. Posted a whole thread on X saying you cut off your family in their time of need. Says you're a sellout who ditched them for money." I checked the post. 100 retweets, mostly from bots and strangers piling on. Sophie had spun a sob story. My brother abandoned us for his fancy construction empire. Family means nothing to him. Comments called me a greedy capitalist, a heartless son. Claire scrolled through, unfazed. "She's grasping, Ethan. This is what people do when they're drowning." But it wasn't just online. A week later, a client pulled out of a $50,000 job, citing personal values misalignment, after hearing I'd disowned my family. The rumor mill was now a machine, and Sophie was cranking the gears. I could have fought back, posted receipts, aired their dirty laundry, but that's their game, not mine. Instead, I doubled down on what mattered. The NBA project wrapped early, under budget. The client so thrilled, he referred 2 teammates. Diego's new role streamlined our ops, cutting delays by 15%. Claire and I spent weekends hiking the coastal trails, planning a future free of toxicity. Nate sent photos from Ocean, Haven, him and Emily toasting on a terrace, the ocean glittering behind them. "You changed our lives, man," he texted. Ava invited us to her Portland loft for a housewarming, promising craft brews and no drama. Frank mailed me a crab trap from Alaska, a note tucked inside. "Keep your net clear of their garbage, kid." The wedding day arrived, a crisp October morning with the Pacific sparkling like cut glass. The cliffside venue was simple, wooden arches draped with wildflowers and chairs facing the sea. Claire walked toward me in a cream dress, her smile brighter than the sun off the water. Frank's gravelly voice read our vows, Nate and Diego grinning like idiots behind me. Ava's twins ran around, chasing seagulls. No one mentioned my parents or Sophie. No one needed to. As we exchanged rings, the waves roared their approval, and I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Later, at the reception, a bonfire on the beach with local oysters and microbrews. Nate pulled me aside. "Heard from Emily. Your parents are telling everyone you're the villain. Sophie's saying she's moving to Seattle, but it's BS. Her job fell through. They're broke, Ethan. That app scam cleaned them out." I nodded, staring at the fire. They made their bed. Nate squeezed my shoulder. "You built something better. This..." He gestured to the laughing crowd, Claire dancing with Ava, Diego tossing a twin in the air. "This is family." That night, lying next to Claire in our seaside rental, the sound of waves lulling us, I realized something. I'd spent years chasing their approval, proving I wasn't the failure they saw. But standing on that cliff, surrounded by people who chose me, I was free. They could spin their stories, spread their lies. I didn't care. I was too busy building a life that mattered, a company, a marriage, a legacy. The ocean outside whispered its truth. Some storms you sail through, others you leave behind. What would they try next? I didn't know, and for the first time it didn't matter.